Food and Life Meet with Celeste
and Yvette.
Are we making cookies?
Yes.
Sort of.
Cookies.
They're like healthy cookies.
Okay, but
Alternative.
I hear cookies though, so to me I'm like a cookie's a cookie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. It's always a circle and ingredients I make it up.
And there's good stuff in there.
Good stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a story behind these cookies.
Oh.
It is.
Well, there's a story behind this moment, don't you think?
Yeah.
For anyone out there? Y'all, welcome back to Tortas. And today we are with Celeste and Yvette, mother-daughter duo, podcast, host, producer, combo here, right here in Orange County. I just want you to let that sink in, okay?
Just know they're not like us.
No, this is a very exciting episode because I've never interviewed a kid, a very awesome kid, and I've never interviewed like a mom-daughter duo, which I think is a beautiful thing. And
I think so. I think Marvel is probably in the works of like this mother-daughter duo superhero.
oh,
I
I mean, manifest. I mean,
I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah. You want to hire me? I'm always open. Books are open.
no, this is incredible. Like y'all, it's going to be a really exciting conversation today. Yes, we're going to make some cookies, but I always like to, like when I see parents who are dedicated and engaged with their kid, like I think that is something that is really aspirational. I think as like, not to like get too cheesy already into the scenario, the moments that you create with your kid and that the time that you have with them is what we as kids remember. So I think it's really awesome what you're doing. How old are you? Tell everybody how old you are.
I am 12, about to turn 13 in June.
And how old were you when you started the podcast?
I was 10.
She was 10.
10, y'all.
In
6 seasons in.
2020, so.
6 seasons into this podcast. So yeah, there's a lot to digest today and talk about, but we got to eat first. So I'm not going to like go too much into anything until we got to talk about cookies.
Yes, we can talk about the cookies, the ingredients, and how fast they are to make, right?
Mm-hmm. They're really fast, and obviously they're delicious. So
Okay.
let's jump into it.
I think when you're a mom and you have a daughter that's doing dance, a podcast, school, we have things to do in the community. We want fast, easy, and tasty.
Of course.
Let's do them.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Well, what's the name of these cookies?
I don't know.
We don't know. I think they're just, for us, we just call them like the dance cookies because
They're made for dance.
Got it.
Because sometimes I'm literally on the go and I'm like, my mom picks me up from school. She's like, change. And I'm like, I'm starving. She's like, get a cookie. And I'm like, okay. And it's like kind of sweet, but it's also like, there's it's protein in a way. There's like some nuts, some cashews. So
I see coconut.
yeah,
coconut.
and it's just the perfect little bite-sized cookie, but it makes you feel good when eating it.
Okay, so we're going to call them Celeste dance cookies. How about
Yeah,
that?
Celeste dance cookies.
Done. Okay, let's get into it. All right, what do we got?
All right, so let's get our bowls so it's easier for us to like prep.
I feel like cookies are hard to, like the texture of a cookie is really hard, right?
Actually, so that brings up a good point. We were like, we want to do cookies, but like, I'm not the best at like making the perfect, like I can make a good cookie.
Okay.
And I'm like, cool, I made it. I forgot how I made it, but like, and then that's not really beneficial. So I'm like, let's make something that's really easy and that's also delicious. So
Perfect.
And I think the great thing about these
Fiona.
is that just the ingredients, and it doesn't matter. It's not going to come out like a perfect circle, but I think everything you put in there is going to be delicious. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like.
I love that.
well said.
Well said.
All right, so
You tell me what to do. Tell me.
okay, so first thing we're gonna do is that we're gonna have our unsweetened coconut. You can get literally like sweetened or whatever your store has, so unsweetened. And we're gonna do 2 cups of that.
2 cups.
I'm scared of spilling. Come on.
So let's put the bowl in here.
Oh, here.
There we go.
Do you enjoy baking or do you prefer cooking?
My mom probably cooking. I like baking.
I like to cook. She likes to bake. So,
good
like I think one of the things is like always, okay, what do you want to bake? And we love watching Kids Baking Challenge. So I think that's always something fun. But I like to cook.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Here, let me help you.
I was like,
Let me help you there.
I think that's
You can
good.
never have too much coconut, you know what I mean?
That's good, because we're going to make a big batch.
Yeah.
So I can have some for the week,
Yeah.
and you guys can take some home. So now that we have 2 cups of coconuts, we need around 1 cup of cashews,
Okay.
preferably unsalted and unsweetened, because that way it's just all natural.
Natural. With you and your mom growing up, did you cook and bake a lot, or what was that experience for you?
You know, actually, my mom loved to bake, and so I actually have a lot of her recipes, like her cheesecake recipes. She used to make this really great flan.
Okay.
So I still kind of have that cheesecake recipe, but like cooking, I would say even now when I go visit her, she cooks, and like the kitchen is like her domain, and then we just kind of come. But she would kind of, now she shares like the recipes and everything with us. But I think for Celeste, like one of the things I've always wanted her to like learn how to make her favorite dishes. Like for her, it's like sopita, right?
I love sopita.
What kind of sopita? Like, what are you talking about? Fideo?
So yeah, fideo. That's like my favorite. But like there's also other ones I like stars or letters. So those are
shells.
the little shells.
The shells are underrated.
I know,
Let me
right?
tell you, right?
I love the shells.
I don't love them.
I love the
the
shells with like a little bit of cheese, and then you put a little bit of cilantro in there. It's like just so good. I love it.
When am I coming over? When is this?
We should have made it. We have to do another one. Sounds like a part 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm not a big chocolate fan, so we're not gonna add all this chocolate.
Whoa. You can't just like make that comment and just keep going. Like,
Well, I'm just like, there's something about it.
Chocolate.
what do you not? How do you not like chocolate?
I don't
Anna?
like the taste of it.
But just
What?
you can make those, and then we're gonna make another batch for you. So you have to just follow the recipe for this one.
Okay.
I think you need to do like a chocolate testing with her, and like different kinds of chocolate.
Like it.
No,
No.
because I don't have a sweet tooth, but like chocolate, I will eat like chocolate.
That much?
Okay.
Or more?
More? Okay, a little bit more.
Sure, why not? Right?
So now you can see you have a good mix of you have your chocolate chips, you have your coconut. So you're probably thinking, how is all of this going to stick together, Celeste?
Well, it's all gonna stick together with sweetened condensed milk. So let's get that sweetened condensed milk over here. Half a cup.
Half a cup.
And if you guys, so we're gonna mix it, and if it needs more, then we'll add more. That's good.
Yes, it's like so, just like
So good.
so good. Have it just like go over everything, and then Celeste, can you do the honors? Yeah. Can you?
Yes, I can.
Do you want me to help you with say ASMR here for you?
Yeah.
All right, I love it.
So satisfying.
So do you all get excited about like food?
Yes, I love food. We get excited about food. What else do we get excited about? I mean, like, I think we get excited anytime that we get to do something.
Spend time together.
Spend time together, do something fun together. Like, even just, like, going out, right? Sometimes, like, we just do, like, our Target strolls, and we just, like, walk
Love
through
that.
Target. We get our
Did you imagine like before you were a mom, were you like, did you have that vision of like how your relationship was gonna be with your daughter, or how was that for you? Yeah.
I think the minute that I knew that I was pregnant, I remember thinking, I can't wait for someone to say,
Oh, okay.
I can't wait for someone
hold
to
this,
tell
hold
me,
this.
I can't wait for someone to say, oh my gosh, are you Celeste's mom?
Oh.
And like,
That's what you were
I
hoping.
was like waiting for that moment. And so now having people like come up to me and like, oh, you're Celeste's mom.
Mom,
That's a
yes,
pretty cool
yes, I
feeling.
am.
More
Aw.
condensed milk.
Okay.
Because it said that it has to, you can lift it up, but
It's not. Okay, so we'll have to add a little bit more condensed milk. Luckily the can is right here, so I'm gonna just do a generous pour.
It smells
all the
really
way
good.
around.
that's good.
And it's good.
Do you want to mix it now? Because my arm's getting tired.
Okay.
Your
It smells
turn.
good. It smells very good.
It
by the
does.
way.
That's what I like about it. It smells delicious.
Yeah.
You get like the sweetness of the coconut, and then
There's no sweetness.
the coconut. It's like it smells sweet. It's like,
Yeah, but
but
it's
they don't add any.
unsweetened.
Yeah, it is unsweetened.
Oh, it is. Okay.
I like sweets.
Okay, so what did you like baking?
You know what? I'm just not a good baker or cook. I'll be honest with you. I'm a good receiver of food. Like I can eat the food. You know, I'm very good at that. I
So
can
my
definitely
dad
appreciate it. But like Anna's been like during the pandemic, Anna started making like we made pretzels that were like they were good. Like I
Oh, like
put,
handmade?
from scratch. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I
well,
want to
Anna-
make pretzels.
It is actually quite fun to make pretzels because then you get to like shape them, you know, and then you can put toppings on. So I put like jalapeno, cheese, pepperoni.
I
on
want to
them.
do that. Okay, that's
put
happening.
it on this summer. You can make pretzels. Yeah, that would be fun.
Okay. So what do you think, Celeste? What's the consistency?
I think the consistency is pretty good. As you can see, it's kind of like glossy, and it's like nice and like well
Oh,
All
Oiled.
the pieces are kind of
sticking together. But when you lift it up, it should be like a little bit like gooey
Oh,
because it needs
okay.
to be able to stick together in the oven, and then once out of the oven it will harden so it forms a cookie.
So let's see. So we could do the.
It smells so good.
So it kind of sticks together. Do we want to add more condensed milk?
Maybe a little bit more,
Okay.
just so it's dripping. That's good.
Okay.
Alrighty.
I think the trick to enjoying baking or cooking is being patient with the food, like being.
I'm not a very patient person.
I think so. I think it's about learning. Every time is a different opportunity to get it right, and just enjoying the process. So, like right now, we are enjoying this process, having great conversation, being able to do this, learning about each other.
I think that's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
And so remember, for people that want to make these at home, you're going to preset your oven to 350 degrees, and it's super fast. It's only like 14 minutes.
13
to 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Depending.
Remember, if you're a Swiftie, 13 is Taylor Swift's favorite number. So just remember
Very important.
that. Very important.
important.
It helps you remember it.
That will definitely be a time capsule mentioning Swiftie. Right? That's very funny. I'm very curious about how these cookies are going to look like. I'm not going to lie. Like,
Okay.
I have
so
no idea.
I was kind of curious too. So it's like, what are they supposed to look like? Hold on.
Yeah.
I can pour it out.
Okay.
Okay. So as you can see, now they are nice and mixed.
This is one of the things that I love the most about Celeste is like she loves to bake, and sometimes as moms, as all moms that probably have kids, sometimes they need a little bit of a break, and sometimes I'm like, hey, do you want to bake something? And she's like, yes. And so I get a little bit of a break, and she gets to be creative,
Right.
and then I get some tasty treats. So I think
I
it's a
love
win-win.
that.
Yeah.
I'm going to mental note for
Yes.
future.
For future, it's
I like that.
You figure out what they like, oh, do you want to bake? And then she's like, yes, I want to bake.
And I feel like it's probably therapeutic for them too, right? To be like
It is.
doing.
Thinking, like, you think about, like, they have to do problem solving, math. There's, like, a lot of different things
Right.
that go into it.
Right.
And then I think sometimes figuring out at the end, like, why didn't it come out? So let's think about let's look at the process again.
So we were trying to be healthy and make some oatmeal banana
Pancakes? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so she's doing it and she's like, this looks really watery. I'm like, but if you, because she's all about
Yeah.
following to the T,
the
like
T.
everything. And I'm like, well, if you followed it, like, I'm sure it's fine. And then she's like, yeah.
this one probably.
And she looked back and she was like, oh my God, I put too much milk. And so, yeah, we had to.
Yeah, and I think for me, like, I like for her to bake and experiment in the kitchen because
Hold up,
it's okay if she makes a mistake and just be like, okay, well, we'll figure it out, or we'll, let's figure out the
Room to
flavors.
do that,
because
yeah.
I think that there's a lot that you can carry into your personal life.
Okay, so I don't know if y'all noticed this, but do you want to tell everyone about your background with education and
I was picking up on it.
Right? I was like, I wonder if people.
Information.
Well, I've had years of people telling me nobody cares about child development, but
What? Really?
people are like, nobody wants to hear about that.
Who says that?
So, well, I think because she grew up with it. So, no, my background is in
so
early
funny.
childhood education, and I think one of my most favorite stories. This is before I even had Celeste. And when you go to get your master's, you have an interview with like the director and the chair of the department and dean and everything. And for us, we went around this huge table. There was probably like 25 of us. And the question that she asked everybody is like, why do you want to pursue a master's in early childhood? So I sat right next to her thinking, okay, I'm going to go first. No, she started on the other side. So I was the last one to go. And
So you heard everybody's.
So I heard everyone's. So of course you want to make a good impression and you want to say
Right.
something original, but something that's still authentic to who you are. So there it is, my turn. And she's asking, why do you want to pursue a master's in early childhood? And I stopped and I thought, and I looked at her and I said, well, I'm not a mother yet, but I aspire to be a mother, and I know that one day I will. And what better gift to give my child than to be a master in early childhood education and understand. And so I think definitely I've used her probably a lot, like my guinea pig, and like been able to do like, oh, let's do the marshmallow experiment. Let's do this on you. But it's been great. I think
It's helped my development.
it's helped me really understand a lot of things. Everything from like
Give it up
her
for a second, Matt.
from
Yeah?
her
Okay, cool.
from like her medical issues with her eye. Had I not been in the field that I'm in, I wouldn't have caught that early.
Probably wouldn't have been able to save the rest of my eye. I
Wow.
would have been blind out of
No way.
this side.
So your mom is like,
She basically
Pretty
saved
cool.
my eye. But yeah, okay, so we're gonna put that in.
minutes?
Alexa, set a timer for 13 minutes, please.
all right, well, we'll mosey over to the couch, kick get ready for these. Yeah, get comfortable with these cookies. Yeah.
What do we do?
That was easy, by the way. It was super easy.
And then
I want to make one big heart with that
if
one.
People, this is like for moms really that are on the go.
Okay.
It's minimal cleanup. It's super easy.
Yeah.
And if they have any kiddos that have a gluten allergy, then these are gluten free.
Yeah, one of my friends, she is also a dancer, and she has she can't eat gluten or wheat or anything like that. So when I bring these, she's like, "Oh, I can have that." I'm like, "Yeah." So I always bring her one because she can't really eat a lot of the stuff that my other friends bring.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Well,
so let's
can't wait.
move on to the couch.
Let's do it. Let's go. Ooh. Should we bite it? Yeah, let's bite it. Oh my god. That is. It's like yeah, it reminds me of a macaroon. Which I love macaroon.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna take all these cookies. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Thank you for coming over.
Yeah. Thank you for making me cookies.
Yeah.
Awesome. Make sure that Anna gets some.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Say hi to the dogs.
I'm just kidding.
Okay,
It's for
good.
all-
Because I wanted one more.
I mean, I'm always very honest. We already ate some of this cookie.
Yeah, you
these
could
cookies.
tell.
Yeah, you could tell.
It was a lot
But
full.
We enjoyed them.
we enjoyed them. Okay, so I was telling them they remind me of macaroons, and you're saying yes. So tell me why. Why is that true?
Because of the coconut, and I think the flavor, if you notice, the golden brown on top and the chewiness. So I think the pleasant surprise is that the chocolate. So this is kind of like the chocolate dip macaroons. But I think the other part that I love is the nutty cashew. You get a little bit extra protein in there. Right?
For sure.
That's true about the cashew.
You don't ever think about a coconut in a cookie.
Yeah, I was telling Celeste, I'm like, I don't know what these are gonna look like, and now I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I think the idea of using the evaporated milk is interesting because usually when food is kind of stuck together, it's with flour, egg.
Yeah. For
So this is a cool way.
Yeah, the condensed milk serves as a binder, like glue. I would say they're more like clusters.
And they're so yummy, sweet, and they have some sort of protein in them. So
I was gonna say what's cool about it too is that you can switch it up. If you wanted to add walnuts, right, or pecans.
You
Instead
can
of
add
cashews.
walnuts. We've added pecans. We've added.
Yeah.
We've even added flaxseed to make it even healthier. We'll add little different
yeah,
things.
you could totally make it your own. It doesn't have to be this exact recipe. This is kind of an easy base that you could start off with.
Yeah, you use the coconut, and I think the main thing is the binder. You can use the condensed milk. And you can
Coconut
even
condensed
yeah,
milk.
you can even change out the chocolate chips for maybe peanut butter chips.
I'm all
If
Anna.
anybody, or a white chocolate chip.
I love. We were talking about that. I'm like, do you like white chocolate? She's like, no.
No, I don't. I'm not a big chocolate fan.
She's not. She's more
Yeah.
she likes sours and
Sweet.
gummy bears.
I love gummy bears.
She loves gummy bears.
You know what else you love? Your podcast.
I do love my podcast.
We're gonna get into it, y'all. It's time. It is time. Just very quickly share with everyone what the podcast is, and then I'm gonna dive in with some questions.
Okay, for sure. My podcast, it's called Celeste's Interest. I focus on business, life, and growth. So that's basically the key things. I do solos where I talk about things in my life, things from my perspective through the lens of a child. So we not kids and adults, not just hearing from adults. They're hearing from a kid's perspective because I feel like that's really important to hear. And then I do interviews. Sometimes people interview me or I interview people. I interviewed Haya Ayas earlier. So go check out that. So yeah, I interview people, and my favorite thing about my podcast is being able to learn from people. Being able to hear their stories, maybe being able to hear what made them, what brought them to who they are right now, or things about their journey. Hearing about their journey is my favorite part because it really lets me see the person and who they are, who they were before this, and how they came to be here. So that's what I love most about my podcast. Also, being able to connect with my community, meeting new people, and helping people out.
Who came up with the spike your interest?
When she told me she wants to have a podcast, and I said, what are you going to call it? And she's like, I'm going to call it Celeste's Interest. So I'm thinking, okay, what's some catchy things? And at first she wanted it to talk about money and finance. And I'm like, okay, like, let's spike your interest, like an interest rate spike, especially inflation, everything that was going on. So it was kind of like a play on words. And so I said, what about if you say, you know, we will spike your interest? And she's like, I love that. And so that's kind of just, it stuck.
Yeah, it's stuck. And obviously over time, I didn't talk too much about money and finances. So I'm like, growth. That's something that I always talk about. And life, I talk about life. And then business, that's really my number one thing. Business, life, and growth.
Okay, so something to note here is that you're 12 right now, right?
Correct.
But she was 10 when she started it. So she's 10 years old and she goes, I want to make a podcast. And you as a perspective of a mother, it's like,
yes,
what were you thinking?
I want to support her, of course, but knowing that I've always encouraged her to like explore her curiosities and really explore her interests, she's like, I want to start a podcast. And it was during the pandemic. So keep in mind that during that time, they were having to already do a lot of activities that were online, and she was having to like record herself and do videos. And she's like, this is a lot like doing a podcast. And I'm like, tell me more. How? And she's like, well, I think I could start a podcast. And I said, well, let's we'll table this and we'll come back to it.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, she has gone through a slime phase where she was making slime all the time. And we bought all kinds of
cute little slime.
We had a cart
right
and ingredients. We had everything. She would make slime. Then she went through like, okay, I'm going to collect like LOL dolls. And we had all the LOL dolls. And so I'm like, is this going to be another one of those? Like, she wants to try. She kept asking me. So I'm like, okay, so there must be something there if she continues to ask the question. I said, well, let's do this. Tell me what you would call it. Come up with a name and figure it out. Like, what's the plan? Like, because I don't know. Logo and everything.
Okay, so you're asking her this question. Let's be real right now. In that moment where you're like, she's not going to come back. Yeah, what do you think? I was thinking
she wasn't going to. Like, she was going to say, like, I don't know how to do it. But she was. And this would really, I like to challenge her. And I'm like, okay, tell me. Like, do the research. And, like, that's something that her dad and I have always been really big on, is telling her, do the research. So,
especially my dad. He's all about that research. And, like, he's like.
Even for when she wants to buy shoes, did you do the research?
Oh, wow.
And, like, did you do the research? Where can I get the best deal from, Celeste? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So you've been challenged by your parents then?
Yes, I have.
And what did you think? You're like, bring it on?
Kind of. I'm like, okay, well, let me figure this out, because in reality, it's going to be up to me to make this work. So I'm like, okay, let me come up with a name, and let me come up with like a cute little logo.
She went on the Canva.
I went on the Canva, and at the time,
10?
I was not like the best at like how I design my stuff now, because now my podcast logo is basically me and then the name, but it was like these cute little like lights, and then just had Celeste's interest with a dollar sign at the end. And I was like, oh, this looks great. So that's basically how I did it.
Yeah, and then we figured out, I did my research and I said, okay, let me figure out how to even start a podcast. And I'm like, I listen to podcasts, and I kept hearing that Anchor is like a free platform to start a podcast. So I'm like, okay, well, don't have to purchase anything. I could just do this organically through here. And one day we figured, okay, let's buy a mic and see what happens.
We bought a mic at Barnes & Noble's. Probably not the best place to buy a mic.
Barnes & Noble?
Barnes & Noble's.
Yeah, it was random.
It was
insane. So then that night,
we would read a lot of books. So we always were there. So we're like, there's mics here.
Yeah. So we came home and we went and we turned on the mic and we turned on Anchor and we hit record.
We set up over there and my mom hits record. And it's like, this first episode is called The Backstory. So I talk about what kind of inspired me, what I want to do with this podcast, and then we end it, and we're like, okay. So then, shout out to Louis. He edits all our videos.
Shout out, Louis.
Yeah. So then he edits it, and we post it.
Now I've heard her perspective. So now let's go back to you.
Okay.
You're 10 years old, and you're taking videos, and you're like, I want to make a podcast. How did you, figure out that you're like, you know what, I want to do this? And also, two, why Celeste interest? Like, why that theme of the podcast? Like, what was the inspiration behind that?
Okay, so first, why I want to do the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought, we're in the pandemic. We're all bored. Like, really bored. Okay?
How bored?
How bored,
what
really
bored. What were you for fun during the pandemic, Celeste?
I would see how long I can hold a handstand for.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would see how long can I hold this handstand? And I was like, okay. I would do and I was not homeschooled. I was we were doing school virtually. So a lot of it was school and just me literally on the couch watching TV. But I'm I could do something more with my life. I could do other stuff.
I'm at 10.
I was gonna say how does that? Wait, does that surprise you? At the time?
It does surprise me just because I love that she understands, has a real macro perspective of life and in general the meaning of life. Where she's 10 and she's what else can I be doing?
Wow.
So I think it's great and it's a gift. It is a gift and I'm super proud of her.
Aw, thank you. So I love to speak, right? So I have to talk to people and I'm well, I wouldn't have to we're in the pandemic, so what better way to talk to someone without actually physically seeing them, and they could just listen to me and it'll be great. So I record myself and I'm hey, this is kind of cool. I record another episode. I'm I like this. I'm so I already had a really big network from my mom. She knew a lot of people, so I leveraged that at the beginning. I'm I want to do interviews because I want my followers to learn about other people. So I interviewed my auntie, and she's a financial planner, and it was a great interview. Now looking back on it, I feel I could have done better, but I was barely starting.
The truth is in the world of podcasts, you can talk about all kinds of stuff. Anything,
you really
everything.
can.
But you decide that you're I want to be talking to people and learning their journey and their experience. And I feel you're 10 years old and I'm if you already know the importance of that, that is that's what I want to learn more about you is
how I did that.
Yeah, or what, why is that of interest to you?
Now looking back on it, my mom is a teacher and she always spoke to students and she always taught and told stories and stuff. And maybe I saw it and I'm I want to do that too because my mom has this video of me lecturing to her class. It's cute.
Really?
Yeah. So it's cute and stuff, but I think maybe what I wanted to do is talk to people, but also share my ideas on how I view things. And I learned a lot during that time. I knew about my mom was talking to me about inflation and stuff.
Wow,
businesses.
Well, you have to remember when all of this was happening we were in the pandemic. So I remember one time we were at Trader Joe's and she tells me, and she's Mom, I remember before we would buy 2 bags of groceries and it was, this amount of money, or 3 bags, and now we can only buy 2 or 1 and it's $100. So it's the same amount, but we're getting less. And I said, Celeste, that's a really good observation. And I said, you know what that's called? And I go, that's called inflation. And she's oh, well, that's interesting to me. So I think that's where all of these things. And she always had a lot of interest. She's oh, that's of interest of me. Or oh, I'm curious about this. Or, I want to know about that.
I think the biggest thing is I was a curious little girl. And I was I want to know more about this. So the thing about my podcast, I think where I got most of it from is my daily life. Things I do on daily basis. I go to Trader Joe's and I go shop. We go to, where else do we go?
You also
that would
wanted
inspire
to learn
me.
about businesses, because I think at one point you were
businesses are closing down.
Yeah, so she
that
wanted
point.
to know how is this affecting you? I think I remember when you interviewed Jessie.
Oh yeah, Jessie.
And she has she's an esthetician, and so she was talking about the price of the sugar product that she would use and how that tripled in
cost. And that was interesting to me because I'm how does the same product you buy from the same vendor distributor, and how does it triple in cost if you're selling the exact same thing? So how does that work? So I think the main point is I was interested in how things worked in a daily life.
When you're a kid, and sometimes we ask, when we're kids, we ask questions. And I'm not gonna say from my own experience, maybe a little bit, but sometimes parents feel they don't have time to explain, or they just don't want to do that. And sometimes as kids we feel kind of shut down, and then we kind of question oh, maybe we shouldn't question that or use critical thinking. And I don't know if you noticed that, but even that example with Trader Joe's, how beautiful that is, that you were really valued what Celeste was asking instead of being oh, it just is the way that it is. The fact that you took the time.
Oh yeah.
Right? To do you notice this?
I do.
This is beautiful.
I think for me,
did you notice that?
So
Do you see that now, though? Isn't that
Now
interesting?
you brought it up, yeah.
I think for me, that's just like how I've always parented. Like that's for me, I value, and I know that the way children learn is through meaningful interactions, is through play. So a lot of the times we would say like, let's play this. And so even if we were playing, like when I would take her with me to the college and say like, okay, you're the professor today, she's playing, but she's really, really developing her skill of like how to do public speaking and how to, get in front of a group. And so I would bring her with me to other events like tabling, and she got the hang of like, how do you talk to people?
I'm very good at tabling.
Oh.
Very good at tabling.
Yes.
And I feel like the skills that I learned at a young age, I'm still pretty young, but the skills I learned very, very young have now really benefited me a lot right now. I go to like a few like things where I have to talk to people in like a big group, and I have to talk to people like public speaking. And I know how to do that because of where I started.
Yeah. And you love it? Do you love it?
I do. I was at the Girls Inc. Gala, and
Ooh.
yeah, I was at the Girls Inc. Gala, and I was talking on the mic, and I told my mom that night, and I was like, I like having that mic in my hand.
It's a good feeling.
It's a good feeling. I did tell you that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Celeste. So you're seeing that, your mother is very supportive, right? Not just in the podcast, but this everyday conversations, interactions, right? Which are, I think, fuel the way and give you kind of the space to be yourself, right?
Yes.
Give you the space and the courage to be confident. So I'm asking this question because I'm like, not any 10-year-old is going to be doing this. So I think you set a high bar. But so my question to you now is, as you navigate, as you grow, you become a teenager and you're going to go into your 20s, right? The next 10 years are going to be very formative in your life. So now learning this experience with your mother, what you're doing with the podcast, I'm going to hit you with the question, okay? What are you going to do with your skills to empower other young people?
Okay.
What do you think?
This is a really good question that I thought of, but not to like the extent. Like, I don't know if I want to keep doing like podcasting my whole life. I love it, and maybe I could keep doing it, but like not like as much as I'm doing right now, just as like a little fun thing.
Yeah.
But I've been kind of into like more like doing like doctoring, I guess, like kind of like that. I've been interested in
What's
that.
Wait, you've been into
Doctoring?
Not doctoring, sorry. I like being a doctor.
Oh, she's super into like maybe
Like
thinking
medical?
Medical.
maybe thinking of like a career in medicine.
Yeah, career medicine. And I was interested in that. But what I have kind of had, like the two things I've had for a long while, for a long time, I either want to be a therapist or a realtor.
Okay, those are all great.
Yeah, when I was really little, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I kind of grew out of that.
But let's
But-
go back to the question she asked you. How are you
oh
gonna
yeah,
impact-
sure. I guess
how
I
are you gonna
did.
impact?
And I would say actually, like even if you're a therapist or a real estate agent, like there's still do you see the connection that there's certain skills that you're cultivating and that she's supporting you in that you could use in whatever workspace you're in? Do you notice that?
Definitely. If I was like a therapist, I probably could use how I talk to people in that, and how I talk to you, or like people I interview. That could totally help me if I'm a therapist, or like even when I'm real estate, like that could really like benefit me. I think everything I've learned will definitely help me in the future. And I had a conversation with my teacher today, and I was like, I was doing the science homework, and I was like, how is this going to help me in my future? It's a question of the day. I ask that every time I'm doing some piece of work that I'm just like not the hugest fan of, and I ask myself that. I'm like, how is this gonna help me in the future? And she told me she had the same question when she was younger, but everything that she did actually did help her in some way or another. Even if you don't think about it now, it will help you in some way or another. You just don't see it right now, but it'll show up in your future.
I'm gonna, I guess, like pull back maybe like and say, Celeste, I think you're already doing it. So I know that you also help mentor dance students, and these are younger kiddos.
yes.
And I think you give them a lot of experience. And you do that a lot. And even within your own circle of friends, like you tell me stories about like how somebody will say something and you'll listen, and then you have great advice. And how many times have your auntie said, wow, Celeste, I'm just gonna, I'll pay you to be my therapist, because you're a great listener, and then you give really great advice and like feedback.
I haven't even talked about. Yeah, that's a really good thing. I do mentor little kids on dance, and I absolutely love it. If that's one thing that feels like my community when I'm there doing that, it just brings me so much joy. So love doing that. But I have to talk to them and I have to like teach them. So everything I'm doing right now, it's gonna add up in the future for sure.
What makes you care about like doing the mentoring and because
Mentoring?
believe it or not, like not everyone is like this. Like there's people out there unfortunately that just don't have it in their capacity to want to help or want to care or so what do you think it is about you, like your experience with your family, you yourself as an individual, like what do you think makes you care?
What makes me care about teaching others,
Yeah,
kind of?
yeah.
Okay, I think for me, I'll use my dance as an example.
Okay.
So for me, when I see them, I think of me. I was once their age, and I've always done some sort of dance. And I kind of wish that I had someone that would talk to me, not very much older than me, but someone like that is a kid, who talk to me and be like, hey, let me show you how to do this, or kind of just like give me like a helping hand or like take me under their wing. So I want to be able to provide that for those kids. So one day if they become like talented dancers or something, they'll remember like, I remember Miss Celeste and she would teach me how to do my bat ma or something like that. And I want to be able to provide the opportunity for them. So that way they feel like they have a place in their community. So I think that's what makes me want to help others.
I mean, how do you feel hearing all this? I'm like, you're the mom, like...
I could think as a mom, but I can also think in like theory, like child development, like how this is what is, from a perspective of like a child development perspective is like, this is what you want. You want to raise individuals that are, have that caring, that want to help their community and that have that goal to be reciprocated givers back to the community. And so we know that the way that we develop is within these systems and they're like bidirectional effects that have on individuals. And so this is her now being able to impact another system. And that just kind of, spreads
domino.
over and over.
Domino.
Yeah. It definitely trickles out. So I'm just so proud of her and I'm glad for her to kind of see. I mean, I think she's always seen, I've always gone above and beyond to help. Her dad has always, been a person to help. She comes from a family of people that want to give and help.
Want to give and help to like back to the community, and I see that a lot in my mom and the work that she does out in the community. Her number one thing is to give back to her community and I guess to make them feel proud.
Yeah, I just want to empower them and just really help them elevate their voice and be able to get everything that
To reach their next level.
Okay, so clearly there are times when there's challenges, right? Yes, we all know challenges.
Yes, for sure.
You actually asked some good questions in our interview too about challenges. I think it's hard in the moment when you're faced with challenges to see the reasoning for them, but then you go through them and then you look back and you're like, okay, that makes sense to me now. Is there a moment in your life that you remember it was challenging and now you're like, oh, you know what, it made me stronger? Or
So I think probably when I was doing when I was like podcast, it's something that was really challenging for me is definitely sitting down and recording and being like kind of like disciplining myself like, hey, you need to record. And it like may like not be the funnest thing at the time, like maybe I wanted to like watch my phone and like probably that's not the best beneficial thing for me. But at the end I like doing it because it makes me feel like nice and like alive, and so I think that's like one of the most challenging things for me. But something that I think has also been very challenging is my eye condition. There's a lot of stuff that like people don't see. Like I look fine right now, but when you peel back the layers, there's a lot of stuff that like goes into it. Like I wasn't able to do a lot of sports as a kid because my mom and my dad were scared of me having like with falling because like the depth perception. And just like I'm a little bit slower when I read. I have like all these different like kind of struggles, but I get through them. It's hard, but I get through them because it's worth it at the end. I think those two are like the biggest struggles in my life.
And I would say the congenital cataract condition that she was born with is something that is ongoing. So it's not like we identified it, she got diagnosed with it, she had the operation, and it's over. No. This is something that's going to be lifelong. Yeah, for the rest of her life. And so all the time going, to get checkups, trying to figure out like, why are the headaches happening? Why is the eye drifting? Why is this happening? How to help her, like, so that she's able to, things as simple as like copying words from a board to her paper because of the way her eye is. It's like, it's different. It's really difficult for her. So having all of those, for me as a mom, and then being in the field that I'm in, I've been able to know what accommodations like she needs to make sure that she's able to feel successful and make sure that she's academically able to also do everything that she needs to do.
You were talking about my eye and like how I have to go to appointments and stuff. Something that I was telling my mom is that you see me right now. I'm talking to you guys. I'm happy. But when I'm there, you guys don't see the side of me where I'm crying because they're taking my pressure. I've had days where it's just testing on my eye.
Or she's fatigued.
Or I'm fatigued and my eye. And people don't see that side of me, which I don't want people to because I don't like it. But I feel like that is also what makes me me, because I have to have those days in order to be who I am and to be make the good days feel better.
Anna always tells me this, like when faced with adversity, is like, this is part of your journey, you know, like, and sometimes it's kind of hard to accept some stuff that we don't like because it's hard. And then you do question, you're like, oh, other people don't have to go through this. Do you feel like you own it and you're like, this is part of my story, this is a part of who I am? Is that how you feel about it now?
About my eye?
Yeah.
1000%. I feel like that's who I am. There's a million different components that make Celeste Celeste. It's dance, it's my eye, it's my podcast, it's a variety. My heart.
Your heart?
My family. A variety of things. But that is something that makes me me, and I have to own it because it's a part of me. It's something that for the rest of my life will be with me, whether I like it or not.
Well, I'm proud of you. That's really great.
Do you have anything to share on that topic?
Yeah, for you as a mom, how has it been to
For me as a
her?
mom, it's been difficult, yes, because I think just being a parent, I once was told by a really wise person that parenthood is like kind of having an idea and being punched in the stomach, right? So I think that is very wise. I think for me is knowing, I didn't know. I mean, I knew how to, in theory, how to prepare to be a parent, but then how do you prepare to be a parent for a child that's going to have additional needs? And so knowing how to put a contact lens into a child that's like not even a year old, you know, how do you do that? Like, I know some adults that can't even put a contact lens in.
Agreed, yes.
And I had to do it on her, right?
Wow.
Then I had to patch with her, do vision therapy that nobody shows you how to do.
Wow.
So I used a lot of my child development is like, okay, I need to keep her entertained. I know this is hard. So I would set up obstacle courses in our living room and having her spaghetti, like have her explore so that she could be entertained while she was doing these hard things.
That's love. That's love. That's love right there, huh?
For sure, because I was like,
wow.
I had a patch for hours because it was like a muscle. My eye, it will probably never.
So she had to like exercise it.
Yeah.
And so we would patch to force the eye.
Oh, patching.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I was patching, and she would make up like different stuff for me to do, which was like really like it really showed that she cared and the love that she had for me. So she wanted to make it fun and easy. So I really appreciate that about you.
I know. Those are definitely parenting moments that not everybody has, you know.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that? That's pretty
I think
powerful.
remember, like, I just remember being called at work, like, oh, we lost Celeste contact. And that contact, it was not a regular contact. It was a very special hybrid contact, super expensive. So the insurance would only be able to cover like one at a time. So it was like, if we lost it, how are we going to...
You're searching the carpet.
And her dad and I would go to the preschool, and we were on the floor, on the rug, looking, and we would find it. And we're like, okay, and we would wash it and everything. But it was just like, it got to the point where like I would look at her, I'm like, where's the contact? And making sure that the contact that it stayed in the middle, right? Because if it was up on the part of the eye, like it wasn't working. So always having to like, I would already know, like even now, like I look at her and like right away I look at her eyes, like I can know, I just know.
You just know.
And that's something that as a mom, like nobody prepares you for. But I think, you know, once you're presented with that situation, it's like it's your gut instinct. You just react and you just know what to do, and that's what it's been. And
now I have a permanent lens, but I think my mom can still see it in my eye.
I could still see it. A lot of people can't see it, but I could see the permanent lens because I'm like trained to look at her eye. Like, so yeah. But I think that's definitely, it's come with a lot of rewards, a lot of challenges. But I think that I believe that everything happens for a reason, and I'm like, and yes, I was meant to be her mom because I have the training. I have the child development training.
But I will ask, to both of you, are you proud of yourselves? Like you
Absolutely.
of yourself, of you, proud of yourself. You.
Oh yes, I'm totally proud of myself.
Good.
Now seeing her and trying to think about like, oh, I remember those days and patching and getting her to where she's at right now. I'm so proud.
Are you proud of yourself?
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
And I think I'm proud of our village because at times it wasn't just me. It was like, okay, like she would go with my mom sometimes and my grandma would patch with her and her dad and like everybody, like we would go on vacation and like her cousins would be like, okay, we're going to patch. And I remember at the Child Development Center, some of her friends would be like, oh, we're going to put our patch on too. So that way she felt included, like everybody was doing that. So I
That's
think
incredible.
It really is like showing kind of the support that you have when you have community and you have those individuals that support you.
For sure. Like they would all patch with me and they would be like, oh, let's just like
They thought it was cool.
They thought it was cool. Wasn't cool, but it looked cool.
Well, I mean, for me, it just warms my heart because it's like, because I'm also very curious about like why people become like the good spirited people that they are. Maybe they always have been, maybe they've had life experiences that lended to that, but you both like bounce off of each other, the energy and the resilience and the love. I think there's like a lot of, I think that's because, you know, like being committed to this podcast it's like, as you know, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
But you both, like, I think that there's just, you have such great lived experience together. I feel like you guys are bonded. Like,
I think so, because I also, as a parent, don't want her to, like, do something she doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
But I also understand that, you know, sometimes she needs a break. And then sometimes when I'm like, okay, I know how much I can push and be like, oh, have you recorded? What about this? What about that? And then kind of to get those creative wheels, turning for her. I think that's, like, where my job is. And so I kind of keep her accountable. I kind of keep her to make sure that she's doing this. And then I also try to figure out like, hey, remember you talked about this? Well, what do you think about that for an episode? She's like, oh yeah, that's right. So
yeah, she definitely gives me great ideas and she does keep me accountable, which I thank her for because I don't know how I'd be here without her.
oh,
she's my little gift.
Yes, I am.
You know, a lot of what we talk about in Donas and Tortas, that's why it's so wonderful to talk to somebody who's a kid, because a lot of us older folks, you know, there's a lot of like things when we were kids that we weren't able to, certain needs weren't met or things that we were afraid of. And I mean, I think the two of you are defying a lot of things that our past generations, like breaking cycles, like being such an intentional parent. Like it really warms my heart to see like how like present you are with Celeste and really honestly respecting her. Like I think that's something that people don't understand is like you really are respecting your child. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, no, absolutely. Because I think, I mean, growing up, there's 4 of us. So my mom was always there. She was very nurturing and loving. But I think I've been able to take my parenting to another level where it is more about the intentionality. I think it's beyond, like, there's a reason why I talk to her the way that I do. There's a reason why we'll go and do things because I'm going to show her something or I'm going to help her make those connections and help with all of that. But yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's so important.
Yeah, I see it. I mean, she's a result of that, I think. And then to your point, and to you, I think you're fearless.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, fearless.
I never thought about myself like that.
No?
No?
Oh my gosh. No, you're so fearless. So I'm rooting for you. I think you keep focused on what you want to do and you said something really interesting about how it makes you feel alive when you're doing the recordings.
Yeah, it does.
And follow that. Like follow what keeps you alive, because that like what fires you up, because I think that's the true, I feel like that's your true self, right?
That is. That's like the essence of like where you're at when you feel most alive. And that's kind of what I try to help her find. And if it's like when she said like when I held that microphone, I'm like, good. Okay, good. Like that feeling, that's what you want to feel when you're doing, when you're doing things that you love and that you're passionate about.
For sure. There's multiple things that like holding the microphone, teaching like the little kids, like that makes me feel like alive. And like I love doing that because it brings me so much joy in my heart because I just love it.
This has been a joyful evening having cookies with you all.
The cookies great, but the
conversation.
For sure.
Thank you for
having us.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Thank you for the questions. I think for for me as a parent, I think sometimes like I definitely just want to see her, shine and want to have her have those experiences. But I think it's really great that you're able to kind of highlight like the dyad, like this kind of partnership that we have.
Yeah, it's a beautiful partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So congratulations on your success. We're here to support you all. We're rallying for you. Can we take some cookies home?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Okay, cool. All right, well, cheers. Any future plans for the rest of the year for
the podcast?
Yeah.
Podcast? I really think it comes like when opportunities come my way, I will take them and I will see where it takes me.
Okay.
I don't have a set plan right now. I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and this. I just want to go with the flow.
Yeah, I think
Right now.
she has a couple of like solos that we haven't released yet. Like we're trying to follow her interests, so I think it's very fitting Celeste's interest. So we'll see what how her interests continue to grow.
Okay.
Over the years.
We'll tag along.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye. Thank you both. Okay. So that's a wrap on Yvette and Celeste. Woo!